Ahead of today's closing arguments in the impeachment trial, lead impeachment manager Adam Schiff claims he has no regrets.
There's nothing that I can see that we could have done differently because, as the senators have already admitted, we proved our case.
Well, GOP Congressman Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan both sit on the president's defense team, know Adam Schiff quite well. He says he has no regrets. If I was to give him sodium pentothal, what would he actually say, Jim? Do you think he believes it?
No, he doesn't believe it, because remember, he's the one who told us that we look forward to hearing from the whistleblower. He's the one who told us that he had no contact with the whistleblower. How many times has Adam Schiff misled the American people in this 4-month ordeal that our country's had to live through? So he can say what he wants, but the American people see it for what it is.
Congressman, right now we're going to hear more of the same rhetoric today. We'll take a pause Tuesday, and then Wednesday you'll have the exoneration by all accounts. What do you think about the chances of Democrats flipping over from Joe Manchin on down?
Well, if they base it on the facts, it will be more than just Joe Manchin. But when you have a bipartisan vote against impeachment in the House and you have a bipartisan acquittal, it shows that, indeed, there was no merits to this case. And we've got to stop this from ever being an impact on not only this president, but any future president. But I'm optimistic that there will be a bipartisan acquittal.
Very interesting, and we know it's not getting close to 67, but if you get Manchin and Sinema and who knows who else, because you had a few crossover in the House. Speaking of the House, are we going to see more investigations? Carol Maloney on record saying just because this is over, the investigations aren't going to stop, Congressman Jordan.
No, they're not going to stop, because remember, they started before he was even elected president. July 2016 is when impeachment really began, when the FBI opened its investigation into Trump-Russia, so-called Trump-Russia collusion, which was a joke. And remember, they went to the FISA court and spied on Carter Page and lied to the court 17 times. There's an interesting hearing coming up this week. That's all this impeachment Iowa caucuses, but there's a hearing where FBI Director Chris Wray is going to be testifying in front of the Judiciary Committee. He'll be getting some questions about what's going to happen in the future, what's going to change when it comes to how the FISA court operates, and more importantly, what the FBI does when they go to in front of the FISA court.
And Brian, one of the things that's interesting, Carol's talking about additional hearings, but one of the hearings that she's not willing to have is really to have Inspector General Horowitz come in and talk about the FISA abuse and what we need to do. When it really comes to getting to the root of the problem, she wants to look the other way, and this is no different.
Well, should the Senate do that then, Congressman Jordan? I mean, should the Senate say, I need to see Hunter Biden? Should I get to the bottom of this? Or are they playing a game, or is that part of playing a game that only benefits lawmakers, not the country?
Well, no, Lindsey Graham and Senator Johnson have both said they want to get to the bottom of all this. And we should never forget the Attorney General, who's done a great job, has put John Durham, U.S. Attorney, in charge of looking at this whole issue as well. But Lindsey Graham has said, and the Judiciary Committee, Senator Johnson also has said that he wants to look into these issues, the Biden issue, as well as this whole FISA thing. So I think the American people expect that, and that work needs to get done, because it's not going to get done with Jerry Nadler and Carol Maloney. They're not going to do it. So let's hope that it happens in the Senate.
Congressman Meadows, I know you're going to be leaving shortly, but I also know one thing. You'll always have the president's respect and ear. If you learn something, if there's something to be learned from this entire process, if it was in fact avoidable, what do you hope the president takes from this? Even if he feels it was a perfect phone call, the vulnerability was there to put the House through this impeachment morass. So what do you hope he learns from this?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we're in a partisan political divide right now, that it doesn't matter how perfect anything is. You got to be prepared for what the Democrats are going to do. But I think for the American people, they have to understand, listen, Jim and I, we were in every single deposition. If you really looked at the facts, they wouldn't have impeached him at all. It wouldn't have gone to the Senate. But he needs to call it out for what it is, politics, and hopefully we can get back to really focusing on what matters. And so my message to him is, let's lower prescription drug prices, let's fix roads and bridges, and guess what? He's on that. Right,
the highway bill. Congressman Jordan, 20 seconds. Nancy Pelosi, I know you have respect for her tactically and politically. Why did she play this the way she did? Why do you think she did this?
Yeah, they never expected what was going to play out. You go back to September 24th, Brian, when she announced they were going to do this impeachment investigation. They would have never predicted that every single Republican in the House would vote against it. One Democrat would vote with us, another Democrat would vote present, a third Democrat would vote with us on one article, and a fourth Democrat would vote with us and then switch parties. And on Wednesday, when it's a bipartisan majority for the president, they've never predicted that either. So she messed this up all the way around because, again, the facts were always on the president's side.
Right, and believe me, I was in Miami. Nobody was talking about impeachment. Every time we talk to a reporter in Iowa, no one talks about impeachment. Congressmen Meadows and Jordan, thanks so much.